problem with. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't a hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Monday night MBR. Haven't done one of these in a long time. That's right. It is MBR, nothing but rants. The show where I bring you topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. Like this one right here. Okay. I posted a video today. Wasn't my video. It was 6 Points Jack's video down there. Posted on Twitter today of Carson Beck throwing, absolute vapor trails. I'm talking about missiles, okay, and doing it from a variety of different platforms. We don't need to get too scouty on it, but it was some really good stuff, right? Some really good mechanical throws, some touch throws, some balls that literally probably had sound effects throughout the building. Same type of stuff we saw from Vandegrift a couple weeks ago, maybe a week or so ago on social media. Okay, let me read you some things as an audience here. And I quote, "What about Brock? And who do you think leaves after the spring?" Only gets worse. I'm good with that one. We'll talk about the rest of these, though. Show me some lasers to the guys on the run with SEC men coming at home. Phrasing. One guy says, "Bruh, ain't no one give a F about Beck." Lovely. Had a nice big fat Power G logo in his bio picture there. And this one too, quote, "will be a solid pickup for UCF, FSU, or ETC. I think maybe East Tennessee College. I think maybe him at UTC." Wow. And then this one, and quote, "and he is absolutely terrible." First of all, 23 throws. I think 23 career throws. Shame on all of you. Okay. Shame on all of you. Secondly, I don't know if you know this, but there are, football players that follow guys like me on social media. There are football, recruits, most importantly, that follow guys like me on social media, and they like them. Okay. Several young quarterbacks liked the throwing video of Carson Beck today. And here they are. They open up the comments, and there's about 15 of them. And the overwhelming majority of them are stuff like this, crap like this. "He's terrible. When's he gonna leave? Oh, it's BVG's show right now." Okay. That probably needs to get cleaned up just for future reference. Okay. I'm not telling you how to act or telling you how to conduct yourselves on social media, but it was all over the place today. I'm not fond of it, first of all. Okay. But the main thing for me is those same people, the show me some lasers with the SEC guys in his face. Those types of people, the people that have already thrown him to UCF and already thrown him to the transfer portal, are the same exact people that if he has a Justin Fields-esque type of run at another school, you'll be the first ones on social media complaining about how Kirby can't choose quarterbacks correctly. You'll be the first one on there. And I know it's the vocal majority, right? That's the main ones we hear. But nobody ever addresses it. They just throw these kids to the portal immediately. Okay. They throw them to the portal immediately. Okay. And, for all those people, right? If Carson Beck does if he does exactly what you want, he'll be gone. He'll go play somewhere else. He'll probably be pretty good, and they'll be upset. And they're not all like Dwan Mathis. Okay. Most of the time when these guys leave, 4 or 5 star recruits, they go play at other programs and they do really, really well. And then you'll be upset about him not doing it for your program. I'm 27 years old, not to make this about me, but generationally, I'm labeled a quote unquote millennial, right? And my generation has been told our whole lives that we're, essentially soft. We're mentally soft, how, we're rather weak. And we couldn't have quote unquote cut it back in the day. I think that's kind of generationally the thing. Everyone tells the generation after them how soft they are. But nonetheless, these Gen Zers, this next generation, this next group of men, they get it. they get it far worse than even us quote unquote millennials do, right? I mean, Gen Zers are labeled quitters from day one, no matter who they are. They come into college football. If they don't get playing time, their fan base is on Twitter talking about, well, he'll be gone this spring anyways. It's already labeled quitters, no matter who they are, no matter what their background is, no matter what, if they're competitive natured, whatever. I'll tell you something. You know who hasn't thought about the transfer portal at all? Carson Beck. You know who hasn't thought about the transfer portal? Brock Vandagriff. Because both of those men, young men, they're competitors. Georgia doesn't recruit guys who don't want to compete. Okay. And they will compete and compete and compete until all options are exhausted. And then once all options are exhausted, they will probably, yes, have to sit down and make a business decision after that. But before the battle's even waged, people are already picking sides and ready to roll. That's how feelings get hurt. That's how mistakes get made. That's how bitterness is created. When you jump to the conclusion without watching and observing the process. And the process ain't even began. Both these two young men are ready to compete there. You know what's off this spring, okay? I can't promise you. I can't sit here and promise you on March 14th that neither Carson Beck or Brock Vandagriff will transfer. I can't do that. I can't sit here and say both these guys will end their career at Georgia. Historically, I'll tell you what, it says that they won't. But here's what I'll tell you, okay? And this is what I'll end this discussion on tonight before we move on to the actual show, okay? If Bama fans threw Jalen Hurts into the portal immediately after the 2017 national title game, after 2nd and 26, and because he's not going to get playing time, he might as well go somewhere else. Well, guess what? They don't beat Georgia in 2018. They don't. And if Bama fans threw Mac Jones into the portal the day Tua Tagovailoa, enrolled, then you don't win a title in 2020 because Mac Jones is gone and is out everywhere, out transferring everywhere else because, he's not going to get on the field here. I'm just saying when it comes to quarterbacks especially, a position that we're going to talk about tonight that I believe someone's investing $8 million in NIL money into, okay? It's an important position. And when you go out after 23 throws and half of your fan base, or at least the most vocal portion of your fan base, is already tossed him to the curb, ready to watch the next guy, A, bad look, B, shame on you. Shame on you for quitting on kids before they even get started. Okay? There's a long time left. There's 15, 16 practices, right, for these guys to battle it out. And I'm not saying either one of them transfers, immediately at the end of the spring, okay? I spoke to people today that were like, I haven't heard either of these guys talk about, well, if I don't win the job, I'm out. If I don't win the backup job, think about that. Neither one of them are going to play. We're talking about the backup job, dog. We ain't talking about the starting job. Neither one of these guys are going into practice, the spring practice thing. They're beating Stetson Bennett out. Y'all throwing them to the portal because they're not about to win the backup job. Think about what you're doing. Stop. Halt the brakes. If you want to keep these guys around, which is to the betterment of your program, you might not want to do what happened today on social media, okay? You might want to, here's an idea, like these young men are doing, you might want to embrace the idea of competition, okay? That's good for your program. It's good that Mac Jones sat around and fought his backside off because it makes your scout team better. It makes your scout team players better, right? Your wide receivers aren't messing around, okay? When a Jai Hall gets called on at the end of the year, he probably doesn't drop balls because Mac Jones been putting it on him every single day in practice and been holding him accountable, right? Competitive nature dudes is all they recruit. So let them be competitive. Don't throw them to the portal. Please, for the love of God, stop doing this to these kids. Appreciate it. That's a rant. Woo! That's a rant right there. But yeah, man, that really, it bugs me. Y'all call these kids soft, and you're the ones on Twitter tossing them to the portal. All y'all in my mentions, every single one of you 35, 40-year-old males in my mention, y'all call 18-year-olds soft, and then you go onto the Twitters and you tell people, he should just leave. He ain't gonna beat Vandagriff out. I mean, come on. He should just not compete. He should just give up and go. Y'all are crazy, man. Y'all blow my mind. But since we're talking about young quarterbacks, man, we got a loaded show for y'all today, as we normally do. How about that? That's an opening rant right there. We are back in midseason form here in March. We got a loaded show for you today. Young quarterbacks, spoke to a boatload of them this weekend. All of them, kind of joined on one thing, okay? They all said one thing in common. All of them had the same exact thing in common. And I think it kind of portrays what Georgia's future might be, particularly at the offensive coordinator position. So that'll be an interesting segment you want to hold around for. That's what we're going to open the show today with. I know all of you guys, unless you had your head buried into a sand pit, I know all of you guys probably heard, read about, saw, thought about, talked about with your friends this story that Stuart Mandel wrote for The Athletic. First of all, before we get anywhere into tonight's show, if you don't do anything tonight, we pub our own subscriptions over here. I'd pay the $1 for The Athletic to read Stuart Mandel's story about this. It's only about 600, 700 words. It's $1. I came out of pocket for it today. It's worth a read. There's both some informational stuff in there and some ever-loving, scary, stuff in that article as well. We're going to kind of give you the cliff notes tonight, but I wanted to pub Stuart Mandel's work there because game, respect, game. So go sub over there and read that article. We're going to talk about it a bit tonight. I'll tell you, hey, look, there's some portal impact on the horizon. We talked a little bit about it tonight to open the show. We're going to talk about it, obviously, in depth with our spring preview, which is where we will close tonight's show. Tomorrow is spring practice, guys. Y'all out here, I mean, I know you're taking victory laps. Georgia's won a national title, but dang, y'all been in the weeds, man. The OGs, the homies, the ones that are like true to it, y'all sticking around. I see y'all in spades, the same faces. I see all of y'all, okay? Y'all passerbys, y'all been taking them victory laps, okay? And spring practice starts this week, which means college football's here, guys. It's here. It's going to stay here the rest of the week, or the rest of the year, actually. Tony Bauer with a text message. Yes, I do have photos for you, Tony. Not that you're watching right now, but if you are, I do have photos for you. So we're going to talk about the spring preview and all that good stuff. But let's talk about these young quarterbacks, okay? And what I kind of portray as some tea leaves. Everybody loves reading the tea leaves, right? I check out the tea leaves. I like to follow the tea leaves. That might lead you to some treasure, okay, every once in a while. All right? And the tea leaves this week were obvious. Speaking to some of the nation's best quarterbacks, I don't know if I've been to a place not named the Elite 11 that had this many top, 10 to 20 range quarterbacks in their respective classes. Okay. In the 2023 class alone, Dante Moore, Christopher Vizina, and Marcel Reed, I mean, within 100 yards of each other for 48 hours. If you call yourself a scout, okay, first of all, I'm going to go on a rant here. If you call yourself a scout and you weren't at the Pylon camp this weekend, shame on you. Shame on you. For no other reason to go see these three dudes, especially if you live in the Atlanta area. Shame on you. Okay, they were right there for you, and it was a daggum laser show from all involved. Okay, and I spoke to all three of them in this 2023 class that we will speak on specifically. Because if you haven't done your research on 2023, it's Dante Moore, it's Christopher Vizina, it's Marcel Reed, it's Dylan Lonergan, it's Arch Manning, it's Nicholas Lamalavea, it's Malachi Nelson, it's Malachi Singleton. There are a dozen, okay, big-time dudes at the position this year in this 2023 class, all right? And all of them, every single time you interview them, if you ask them who from Georgia is recruiting you, it's the number one question I ask kids. I want to know who's developing the relationship. Who do I need to give credit for if and when they land you? Number one question, you ask all these quarterbacks, who is recruiting you from Georgia? They all say the same thing. Buster and Todd. Buster and Todd. Buster and Todd. Buster and Todd. Todd and Buster. Todd and Buster. Buster and Todd. Okay? Todd and Buster. Buster and Todd. Every single time. Okay? Let me tell you something. At the University of Georgia, understand, at the University of Georgia, position coaches don't get help recruiting. It's very, very unique about Kirby Smart. It's not necessarily unique to just him. There's obviously a predecessor in where he gets it from, Alabama. You coach a position at Georgia or Alabama, you are working your butt off on the trail. Hard. Okay, out there grinding. By yourself most of the time. The outside linebackers, guess who's offering all these guys nowadays? Uzo Duribe. All of them. Just landed. Just landed a couple months ago. Out here working like a dog. All right? Getting his outside linebacker board created and set and ready to roll. Same thing in the quarterback position normally. This is different. This is a change. This is a change in culture and philosophy, and it's happened over the last 2 years. Once Todd Monken got here, within a week, Buster Faulkner was hired as a quality control analyst, okay, and immediately started getting involved in all of these quarterback recruitments. Every single one of them. This is a dude that was an OC at Southern Miss. This is a dude that was an OC at Arkansas State. This is a dude that's called plays for a decade already in college football, essentially. He has OC experience, and he came to Georgia to be a quality control guy, okay? I'm not saying I don't know what the pay difference is between OC at Southern Miss and quality control guy at Georgia, but nonetheless, that looks like at least a horizontal movement or a step down. He was calling plays. Now he's in the box. Well, he's on the field, okay? Nonetheless, it's a joint recruitment everywhere they go. And we sit here and we talk about on this platform all of the time. I don't know. The history says, Todd Monken being at Georgia for a third year now is kind of rare. It's kind of rare. In fact, this is only the second time since 1998 he spent 3 years somewhere. I think the last time he did this was in from like 14 to 17 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the last time. And he's over the years, he's kind of been bouncing around. So how do you go about doing this? How do you go about preparing yourself for a departure, at least in terms of positional recruitment, right? How do we make sure if this guy leaves, if Monken leaves, which is his Wikipedia tells you right there, this is going to happen. If he leaves, we got to make sure we got an ace in the hole. We got to make sure that we are hitting the ground running no matter what with every single recruitment we got. And we got to make sure that, hey, we got a guy somewhere on staff that can call plays and do it at a high level. He's right there. He's right there. And maybe it's too obvious. Maybe it's too obvious. Okay. Maybe they have to go out and hire a quote unquote name, right? When people were mentioning Monken potentially leaving this year, everybody was like, ooh, Joe Brady's available. Okay. Great stuff. But this guy's on staff. He's been busting his backside. And all of these kids that I speak to, they speak really, really fondly of him. And that's good. That's good news for you. So this is a former OC that spent years developing relationships with every single one of these elite quarterbacks. All right. Every single one of these elite quarterbacks and doing so at an elite level. Can he call plays at this level? We don't know. But there's really only one way to find out. I know that it's hard not to, I'm not going to say you can sit there and watch the magician that is Monken, a guy that, calls plays and designs plays as well as anybody or on par with anybody. But I know one thing about Todd Monken. He's an extremely, extremely good communicator and teacher of what it is that he does, right? So if you're just around him for like 3 years, you're going to absorb some knowledge that you can apply if and when one day you take over as OC. So I just found it really, really interesting, man, that like, again, tea leaves. Once you just hear it over and over and over and over and over again from a variety of different players, and not just 23s, but 24s and 25s, right? The young quarterbacks that won't even be, committing or having committable offers for a variety of years, for 3 or 4 years sometimes. That's tea leaves of maybe what is on the horizon for the University of Georgia, because I can promise you, I'm not promising you that Monken's going to leave, but I'm promising you that the history says Monken leaves. We've told you that over and over again on this platform. And it's good. It's good you got a young, potential guy in the waiting that has, again, developed and cultivated these relationships at a high level, including Arch Manning, who is on campus or will be on campus this weekend. You know who's been a point man in that recruitment? Mr. Buster Faulkner. So there you go. Sing his praises every once in a while if you land a top QB. Okay, it is a team effort, starting from the head man down. All right, starting from the head man down. So we got a bunch more today in the show. We've got spring previews at the end of the show, and we're obviously going to talk about this NIL story. Again, if you haven't read this or heard about this, Patrick Starr, stop living under a rock. There is a 2023 prospect that has reportedly signed an $8 million NIL deal to. Yeah, we'll talk about it. There's been no promises made in terms of a commitment, but it's like a wink, wink, we're going here kind of a deal. So we'll talk about that here in a second. I haven't asked for any support on the platform yet tonight. So however, wherever you found us, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button over on YouTube, do all that good stuff. Hit up patreon.com/Brooks Austin. It is spring practice time, which means not every practice note I get, a lot of the practice notes I get will be shared over there on Patreon. So go check those out. It is that time of the year again. I'm telling you, y'all need to get back into the swing of things or you're going to get caught sleeping, because again, after spring practice, hey, all the depth chart is set, right? Everyone knows kind of the writing is on the wall. Ins, outs, transfers, all kinds of stuff is going to be ramping back up at an all-time high level. So be locked in wherever you find your information. I like to say that we do it really, really well. However everyone else does it, I don't know. But yeah, we do a really, really good job over there. And we have a free sub available. Shouts to Robert over there at the Damn Good Dog podcast. So we have a free sub available. So if you're one of those people that is passing by tonight and you're like, dang, this guy's kind of cool. I like that Dale Earnhardt shirt he's got on. That's right. Then you can head on over to patreon.com and /Brooks Austin and sign up right now. Or you can hit me up on Twitter and I'll slide in, or you can slide in the DMs and I'll give you that free sub. So if you're one of those guys that wants it again, boom, there it is. Now we got two of them. Okay. So we got a pair. All right. It's enough on you, Robert. But in honor of number 3, okay, somebody ought to roll through and give me one of them for this good old fashioned Dale Earnhardt shirt. All right. Now let's talk about, speaking of money, let's talk about this NIL deal, man. Y'all heard about this? This stuff is cray, man. Cray. Do people still say cray nowadays? That felt cringeworthy. Hey, we're 22 minutes in. You know what the key was today as we get into complete sidetrack mode? This is my ADHD talking. You know what the key was today? An absorbent amount of coffee. That was it. I hadn't been on air in a while. We hadn't done NBR late night in a fat minute. And there was, some downtime later on this afternoon, putting the kid down. You got the sound machine going everywhere. I was feeling kind of tired, to be honest with you. Wasn't ready to come in here and host for an hour and be out here with all the energy in the world. Then I saw this Dale Earnhardt tee, and I'm like, you know what? Do it for the king. You know what I'm saying? Go out there. Was he called that? He's the Intimidator. My bad. Do it for the Intimidator. Go out there, ball out, give it hail, and give it hail for Dale. And I actually had way too much coffee, and now we're just, in one of these. Justin, I know what you're trying to do. I don't know if Twitter or YouTube knows what you're trying to do. Yes, I am both fat, as was the minute. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Here's what we know about this $8 million quote unquote deal and this NIL stuff. Again, have you heard about this? If you haven't, I'm going to give you the rundown and a little bit of what I know. Okay. A little bit of what I know. Not everything what I know. Patreon got that this morning. Okay. A little bit of what I know. All right. Here we go. This is a 2023 prospect. All of this, before we start inducing information, all of this is found, again, on Stuart Mandell's article over there at The Athletic, okay? It's $1 right now. They got one of them giveaway things going on. You can get the whole thing for $1, all right? A McChicken without the 7 cents of tax. So you can go get the whole thing over there. Anyways, here's what we know based off the article. Let's speed it up. 2023 prospect. $8 million of guarantees by the end of his junior year. That's a specific key right there. End of his junior year, he's got a $350,000 signing bonus. $350,000 signing bonus. And there's no, again, this is the kind of hazy part. There's no real contract. There's no real promise. There's no relay of information as far as who this team is, who this program is. There's just basically an agreement on paper that's based on, and I quote, a promise of faith on both parties. Some shady stuff right there. Okay. And again, and I quote, a promise of faith on both parties. So essentially, we going to promise to give you $8 million. You going to promise to come to school X, and we all going to be happy. Right? Wrong. That's not how it ends. Okay. That's not ever how it ends. Okay. Let's talk about what we also know based off this article. Okay. This money is being raised by what is known in this world nowadays as a, quote, NIL collective. That's the flash term word that I've been getting shoved down my throat for the last week and a half around this story. NIL collective at a university. So here's what we know, and these are several things that we can clarify on this story based on A, the information that I've gathered, and B, the stuff that's like clear as damn day. It's right there for you. Okay, the clear as damn day rule number 1. Okay, thing number 1 is this is 100% without a doubt, bona fide, clear cut, 100% example. Matter of fact, put it on the board, sir, when we define it at Webster's. This is pay for play. This is what this is, okay? There is a promise of payment for play at a university. All written in code, all hidden behind, proper NIL executive terms, all written by lawyers that are crooks and thieves, okay? All there for you right there in plain day, but really not. this is pay for play. As clear as day. We pay you X amount of money. You play at X school. We're all good. It's hidden in these NIL bylaws, so it doesn't really matter. The NCAA is damn sure not going to get involved, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, that's rule number one. That's the thing you need to know. This is 100% pay for play. The thing that we were told is not going to happen, but that's okay. Okay. The other thing is 100%, 1000%. This is definitely a quarterback, okay? No other player, no offense. No other player is worth $8 million in such value, okay? None. It's the only only player on the field, only athlete in the world that you would offer $8 million to come in and play college sports. Period, point blank, has to be a quarterback. That's something we know as well. Okay, and the other thing we know, and I'm just going to state it for the obvious clear facts, this ain't Georgia we're talking about. Okay, this is not Georgia. If for no other reason than Jeer Moorhead, the daggum president of the university, is also the board chairman, the executive board chairman of the NCAA board of directors. So he is the feds. All right, he is the feds, and he's also the one last week that basically said, hey, whoa, we got to get a hold on this, okay? He said, and I quote, "We are concerned that some activities in the name, image, and likeness space may not only be violating NCAA recruiting rules, aka pay for play, particularly those prohibiting booster involvement, aka collective, but also may be impacting the student-athlete experience negatively in some ways." So there you go. Clear as day, ain't going to be Georgia. Also clear as day, this is the exact thing athletic directors like Jeer Moorhead, presidents like Jeer Moorhead, are deathly terrified of. They are, oh my God, scared of this, okay? Even the big ones, okay? Again, we are concerned with some of the activity in the name, image, and likeness space may be violating NCAA recruiting rules, particularly those prohibiting booster involvement. Guys, that's what a collective is. A collective is a group of people that are coming together, most likely booster related, that are coming together and pooling money. What does that sound like? That sounds like a booster pool, because it is. And it's hidden in this term collective, except, I mean, damn, it's right there. It's easy as can be, right? So it's clear cut. This is what's going on. The other thing we know, we told you it's not Georgia. I would assume it's not Bama, because Bama's all in on Arch, right? All in on Arch. And this, I'm not saying that this isn't Arch Manning, but it's not Arch Manning. Okay, this prospect is not Arch Manning. Texas A&M, I know people think it's them. Texas A&M has a commit in 2023. I'm led to believe that this is an uncommitted football player. So here we go, right? We've cleared some things up. We told you 100% legal pay for play. It's 100% a quarterback. It ain't Georgia. It ain't A&M. It ain't Bama. Okay, so there you go. That's what I can and will tell you. All right, now let's talk about what it actually means, right? Before we dissect all this stuff, where we laid out the available information. Now let's actually dissect and tell you what it means. First and foremost, this is a preface for this entire argument, okay? So preface for this entire argument. Get paid, young friend. Get paid, okay? All of you, every single one of you. Go get your money as fast as you can and as much of it, okay? I want to preface again. Everything we talk about, henceforth, go get your money. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Go get as paid as fast and as much as you can, okay? Let's get that out of the way, so I don't feel like I'm pocket watching and hating on young kids for getting money. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to clarify some things, maybe clean up some things, right? Let's talk about this. Rule number one and point number one, not rule number one, point number one is the fact that there's going to be a market correction here. I'm telling you that right now. And if I went to business school long enough, two things I tell you all the time. I played ball. I got a master's in business, okay? I went to business school long enough to know what a market correction is and how to foresee it coming and what leads to these things happening, okay? And let me lay this out for you right now. Let's say this player, right, this $8 million NIL deal-worthy player, let's say he goes to a program, I don't know, like South Carolina, right? Like South Carolina, where there's a track record of moments of success, brief moments of success, but an overwhelmingly standard of like B+ rosters and program on the big picture, the national landscape, and kind of like in that middling SEC East kind of division, right? Where they're third, fourth, might bounce up to second. Oh, crap. Jadeveon Clowney and Lattimore the same. Oh, we might win an SEC East title, right? Let's say a program like that, okay, has this player or has this deal, okay? And I'm not saying it is, but, you know, do you think South Carolina, or even another example, Tennessee, do you think Tennessee is a one quarterback away from winning a national title? Think about what that means. A national title. Do you think South Carolina or Tennessee is one quarterback away from a 12-1 at minimum season, and you got to beat whoever comes out of the SEC West? Do you think that's possible? Do you think that's plausible? Do you think that's what adds up? You just get one Q, and all of a sudden, it doesn't take 6 years of stacking top 3 classes like Alabama did before they went on their run, like Georgia's been doing over the last 4 years before they finally crossed over? Okay, do you think it just takes one Q? Are you banking on every time you spend $8 million that you might get Joe Burrow? Because I'm telling you, that's not really good gambling, right? It's not really good gambling. I did some research this morning. 50% of 5-stars bust. Okay, 50% of 5-stars are not drafted in the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft. That's a bust. So what if you flip that coin, that $8 million chip, and it lands on this guy stinks? What if you flip that chip and it lands on this guy's Hunter Johnson? Yeah, every time you flip it, you might get Joe Burrow, but you might get Hunter Johnson, or you might get Jacob Eason, right? And if that's what it is, it's going to take about 2 of those, right? It's going to take about 2 of those before these boosters are like, bro, I was fine with back in the day when you asked for cash payments so we could get by with like 6 4 or 5-star recruits or whatever. What I'm not comfortable with is you coming to me every year and saying, hey, we got another $8 million NIL bag we got to throw out there. That's insanity. That's insanity. And when it plays out that it isn't such sanity, these are business people, man. These are guys that got a lot of money and gals that got a lot of money. People that most of the time did smart things to get that money. What they're not invested in and what they're not going to do is continually make bad investments as a collective to maybe possibly get a good quarterback. This is a great flash in the pan. And by all means, whoever this young man is, I hope you see every last penny of that $8 million. And I hope it turns into $50 million when you invest it someday. But this right here, man, this ain't gonna last very long. I mean, if for no other reasons than accountants are gonna be like, what? Huh? Collective, my what? Collective, the IRS is collecting, my man. They're knocking on our doors because I got to turn in a receipt that says what? A receipt that says what? To who? So a 17-year-old kid can come to your 8-year-old's birthday party? Like, that's what this is. These guys are paying for access and for their shiny program to be good. They're longing for a day where their program was great and their money means something. That's going to run out. I promise you that's going to run out really, really quickly. Hopefully, it runs out quicker than most. Actually, I hope it doesn't run out too quickly. I hope all these kids get as much money as they can for a long period of time. I just hope it doesn't cripple the sport. Because some of this stuff, and again, I cannot suggest you read this article enough, okay? Stuart Mandel, theathletic.com. You know I don't do a lot of this stuff when it comes to plugging other people's stuff because we don't do a lot of this, right? Most of this stuff is my opinion, my stuff. This is hard-earned work. This is a lot of sourced material. Go check it out for $1 today on theathletic.com. Buy Stuart Mandel because this is, and I'm serious, pardon my language, this is some scary shit about the future of college football. 100%. Scary about the future of college football because, and I quote, listen to some of this. In one draft version of another NIL deal The Athletic reviewed, the collective agreed to pay an athlete $1.5 million across 2 years, but could, quote, from time to time, ask for repayment of that money, plus, of course, a 10% commission and expenses, even if the agreement were to be terminated. So in other words, Jimmy, you go sign at UTASAP University for $1.5 million. Great. They're going to give me that money in 2.5 or 2 years, man. We're going to be cashing checks and breaking necks, dog. Check this out right here. Oh, wait, fine print, huh? Wait a minute. They got an opportunity to take 10% of me for the rest of my life. They caught that one. Okay, understand something. They caught that one, that sham. They caught that one. They might not catch them all, okay? They might not catch them all. The entire music industry was plagued by this, okay? Plagued by this, particularly young black artists were plagued by this for centuries, decades rather, centuries, okay? For a long, long time of people sticking their hand in their pocket and keeping it there for the rest of their career. Be very, 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 very careful, young men and women. When you look over these deals, please have representation with you. Please. Because we're talking about millions with an M now. And that comes with ties, okay? And that comes with responsibilities, like going to 8-year-old kids' birthday parties. You're going to have to do that. They bro, you think these boosters and these collective bases ain't about to take you to some fancy dinners and let all their friends know that they know the starting quarterback at whatever university that they all root for? Huh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to happen. Okay? So be prepared for all that. Be prepared for all that uncomfortableness that's coming and is on the horizon now with college football. Be very, very comfortable with it because it's here now. It's here for good. All right. So we have ran past our show notes at this point. So all these spring observations, we're going to throw them off you we're going to throw them at you off the hip right here. Okay. This is some of my, more natural work. We're just free flowing now, right? We're just moving. We'll turn it into some Q&A if you guys want to, if there's any spring position battles that I might not hit on, but we're probably going to go top to bottom. So if there's any players that I don't hit, remember, I'm coming fresh off the dome here. So if there's anybody you got questions about, I'll probably be rather forthcoming and honest with you right here on the platform tonight. So feel free to get those questions rattled off. Let's start with the offense, okay? And we're going to start with the skill guys, okay? Quarterback, I think if you're one of these people that's expecting Stetson Bennett not to roll out and be your starting quarterback against Oregon, you're probably silly. Barring some type of insanity, Stetson Bennett's the starting quarterback until he's not. Okay. Stetson Bennett will be the starting quarterback at the University of Georgia until he is not. However, the chips fall after that, we're going to find out this spring. Well, because access is extremely, extremely limited, you won't find out, but the program will find out this spring. That coaching staff will find out this spring who that number 2 quarterback is heading into fall camp this summer. So that'll pretty much solve itself. I already opened the show with it. Don't throw these kids to the portal until they want to throw themselves to the portal, okay? So, yeah, enough said on that one. Let's go into the running back position. I think it's a huge, huge spring for Kenny and Kendall, okay? First of all, to stay healthy. Neither one of these guys, I love both of them as prospects. I think they're insane football players, extremely talented. I thought Kenny was the most well-rounded back of all 4 of them last year. I think Kendall, if you gave any of those guys on that roster last year, if you said you got 24 totes today, what do we got? Zamir White included, Kendall Milton's getting those totes for me, okay, even last year. But here's my problem. Kendall Milton's been the third back, at least in terms of touches, for 2 years now. We've seen banged up injuries. Kenny, same thing. So now you're going into a year where you guys are getting what you come to Georgia for, rather, to be the 2-headed monster, which is what all these backs come to Georgia to do. To be one of the Sony Michels or the Nick Chubbs, right? To be one of the Evander Holyfields or DeAndre Swifts. To be one of the Brian Herrians or the DeAndre Swifts, right? Well, to be one of the James Cooks and Zamir Whites. Now is your opportunity, Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh, and you're going to get a lot of run, I would imagine, this spring. So let's stay healthy and let's continue to progress as players, because I think they both took steps towards the end of the year when healthy. But the problem was when healthy. Tight end room, man, we talked about it over on Patreon yesterday, or not yesterday, I think last week, end of last week. There are so many opportunities this spring for Todd Monken, Buster Faulkner, Todd Hartley, Kirby Smart, all involved, the entire building. There is so much opportunity for everyone there to make Darnell Washington know and feel as if he is loved. And I mean big time love. Brock Bowers is not going to be practicing. He had labrum surgery, for any of you who didn't know, okay? If you remember, he separated what looked to be separated shoulder in the SEC championship game, okay? Played with a massive brace the rest of the year and continued to play with a torn labrum. He repaired that labrum, very similar to what Nakobe Dean last year did during the spring. He's not going to be available, which means all spring, guess what we got to do? All spring, we got the ways to show Darnell, hey, this is how we're getting you the ball, baby. This is what we're going to do. And guess what, Coach? I'm not here to tell you how to run your business. Okay, but listen closely. Everybody get in tight right here. Look, there's so many different ways where you can script Darnell Washington to just look like an animal during practice, just be mossing folks, right? Hey, you did it against Missouri when you wanted A-Rick Gilbert to come to Georgia, right? Hey, you did it last spring when you wanted Darnell to be a little bit happy about this Brock Bowers guy coming in, right? You let him run over Dan Jackson in the spring game, right? We threw a back shoulder fade to him. All these things are available to you. All these things are available to you. Make sure at the end of these 15 practices, Darnell Washington leaves thinking, Puh, I'm getting 60 balls this year, baby. I ain't going nowhere. You kidding me? Coach. I'm happy. Click, right? All the ample opportunity in the world to do that this spring and get Oscar Delp acclimated rather, while you can. Keep Brett Seether healthy. Keep Brett Seether healthy because somebody going to have to go out there and stick their nose in some stuff. Rylan Godey probably off playing baseball, but y'all get the point. Somebody going to have to Fitzy. Somebody going to have to Charlie Warner. Okay, so somebody going to have to figure that one out. I don't want it to be Darnell Washington this spring because if it is, I'm not saying we don't throw kids to the portal. It's another one. We don't throw kids to the portal, but that's justified if he feels like he ain't getting enough work, right? Business decisions after all options are exhausted. We'll see this spring if they exhaust those options, right? All right, on to offensive line, which, man, a lot of dudes competing for a lot of spots. All right, a lot of dudes competing for a lot of spots that are available. Centers locked up for good. Okay, centers locked up for the next 26 games until Cedric Van Pran is a first-round draft pick. I'm stamping it right here. That's my full soul, intentions, and heart on what SVP is as an athlete for me on film. Love that dude. Love what he does. Love everything about the progression of the athlete. That guy's a freak. He's going to be a freak. Lock it in. Okay, the other ones are the tackle spots, right? We'll work our way outside in now that we got the bona fides. Let's start with right tackle. Warren McClendon has been playing at an all SEC level for 2 years at right tackle. He has been. The problem is he doesn't have the athletic measurables or wouldn't have the athletic profile to have been a top 90 selection this year. But after another solid year of tape, he damn sure could be and probably will be in the 2023 NFL draft. So he's back. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think he gets beat out. I really don't. Unless you're just moving him out because Amarius Mims needs to play and you have to play him. I don't see, and I think Amarius Mims is a superstar football player. I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick when it's all said and done when he gets on the field. But damn, Warren McClendon has been putting some stuff on tape for 2 years. And no, he's not a guard. I know that might be a question that comes in here. Warren McClendon is not an offensive guard. Amarius Mims is not an offensive guard. So neither one of those guys are kicking inside, which brings us to left tackle, which Broderick Jones, I think, did a pretty good job of kind of labeling his and that's my block. If you want it, you got to beat me kind of thing. So Amarius Mims got a two-way go, right? It's you can either win at right tackle or you can win at left tackle. But you got to go beat one of these guys that is the incumbent. So that is a war. And y'all all focused about, what's going on in that backup quarterback position. To hell with that. Pay attention to what's going on at tackle this spring and do so really, really closely. Really, really closely, okay? Because those are some dudes. Those are all Sunday football players. Broderick Jones, Amarius Mims, Warren McClendon. Them Sunday dudes. Them guys are going to play for a decade, okay? Really long time, really good football players. Pay attention to what's going on there. Now, inside, it's going to be the Devin Willock show this spring. I'm here to tell you right now, every media member will be talking about Devin Willock. They will. Because Tate Ratledge is unavailable. He will not be practicing this year this spring, after the Liz Frank injury. We'll see him this fall. Okay. So it's going to be the Devin Willock show at left guard, and it's going to be Warren Erickson at right guard to start. So that's how I think you'll roll out this spring. You'll go Broderick Jones, okay, and Warren McClendon. They'll rotate with Amarius Mims, all right, and that's the dogs, okay? They're going to have to figure out who it is. Inside, it's going to be Willock, it's going to be Erickson, it's going to be SVP, and you got Michael Morris fighting for PT. You got Dylan Fairchild fighting for PT. You got Jared Wilson fighting for PT, okay? You got guys like Owen Condon that have been around forever fighting for PT. You got guys like Xavier Truss that are either, hey, crack the lineup or go be a graduate transfer, right? That's that business decision, exhausting all options. That is what this spring is about for a lot of these dudes that have been backed up on this roster for a long, long time. Okay, particularly at the offensive line position. They have recruited really, really well, 4 or 5 deep every single year. That stuff's starting to backlog now, guys. It's starting to backlog. So it's either get on or get out, right? Get on the field or get out. That's kind of the way it is going on right now. All right, so that's offensive line, quarterback, tight end, running back, wide receivers, right? We got to hit wide receivers. Obviously, you got to replace some production, okay? You got to replace some Jermaine Burton receptions, a guy that's been, over the last 2 years, I think your leading receiver, right? If you take account 2020 and 2021 seasons, add up the receptions totals, I'm pretty sure Jermaine Burton's number one. Okay, so you got to replace not a bunch of productivity because it's Georgia and you rotate a bunch of receivers, but you got to replace a good bit of productivity. Most of that will come from Lab McConkey. A good portion of that will come from A.D. Mitchell. But here's the name I'm paying attention to this spring at the wide receiver position. I think you need to as well. Marcus Osimi-Jacksaint, I don't know if y'all remember this dude, but he was like a guy coming out of St. Thomas Aquinas, okay? A bona fide dude. I compared him to George Pickens coming out of high school. He had the great block, but look up the stat logs. Look up the game logs. I think we got like 9 targets, okay? I think we got like 12 balls, maybe. We're going to have to figure something out this spring, Marcus Osimi-Jacksaint. We are, okay? If I'm your agent right now, okay, we got to figure some stuff out this spring. We got to figure out if we're going to crack this lineup and be a guy or if we got to go figure out where we need to do that at, right? So that's a big one this spring. Watch him very, very closely, okay? Are they feeding him the rock, okay? Are they feeding him the rock in spring practice, letting him know you're in the rotation. You are going to be a guy here. We need you. We love you. Got to have you, okay? Same thing for Jackson Meeks, but Jackson Meeks entered your program as a guy with no expectations, as a guy who knew I'm coming in, I'm going to develop. I'm thankful I'm a University of Georgia football player. I'm from Phoenix City, and I've blown my knee out twice. I'm just happy to be here, okay? And now he's getting into it, right? Next year, he's demanding playing time. That ain't Marcus Osimi-Jacksaint, dog. Marcus Osimi-Jacksaint was a bona fide All-American coming out of high school. It's time, okay? Now it's the time, okay, to get on the field and make some plays. This spring will be huge for him. Let's get to the defensive side of the football. Random DM, middle of the show. Somebody watching us right now. But anyways, let's get back to our positional previews in the spring. Let's talk about our defensive side of football. Let's talk about the defensive side of the football. For me, a guy I think you need to be paying. Oh, Rick Gilbert in here. Slow burn here, guys. Slow burn. I am a huge. I want y'all to know this. Okay, I'm a huge guy. All puns intended. I am big on managing expectations properly, which means setting expectations properly. So here on this YouTube channel right now, today, March 14th, 2020, 9:46 on this live episode, please, for the love of God, do not expect the SI, Gatorade Player of the Year tight end prospect that was out here, potentially a top 90 pick as a high school player. Okay. Let's set and manage expectations thusly. Let's be, let's not be out here expecting all SEC performances. Okay. Whatever is provided, be very, very happy with. I will tell you this. I've seen the dude twice. Okay. In the last, 10 days, he is every bit as explosive as he ever was. Okay. Every bit of explosive as he ever was in spurts. Okay. We are quite a ways from 2019, Rick Gilbert, that was probably the biggest and baddest athlete I've ever evaluated. We're a little bit away from that, so let's manage expectations, okay? Jay Parker, I appreciate the question because it allowed me to address what I think needs to be done, which is for Georgia fans not to think that, Rick Gilbert's going to come out and catch 90 balls this year. Give the guy some time, okay? Let it work. I think towards the middle of the season, we might be a dude again. Okay, there might be a dude out there running around because Lord knows he's still got all the talent in the world. That was clear as day again. The 2 times I saw him this week. But let's manage expectations. You guys know how I am about that stuff. And it does nothing for me other than I think it helps protect the kid, because if you're not out here expecting anything, if something arrives upon your doorstep, you tend to approach it with much more happiness and gratefulness. Whereas if you're expecting something and you don't get that, or you get a different version of that, now you're upset. And whose fault is that? It's yours. It's not the kids. It's you with your expectations, right? So we like to, on YouTube, we like to manage those expectations by doing stuff like that, taking a moment and addressing the question. All right, on to the defensive side of the football. Here I'm just going to start naming a couple of battleground spots. I think inside backer is very, very important. Obviously at Georgia, you lost a bunch of guys, right? 3 studs, 3 Sunday guys. one, maybe 2 first rounders at that inside linebacker position. The good news is you got a bunch of dudes, okay? But none of them have played very much, hardly at all. I'll tell you this much. Watching film on them throughout the year, it was clear to me Tresman Marshall was the guy behind. Like, he was the 4th backer. The 5th backer was Smile Mondon. The 6th backer was JDJ. The 7th backer was Ryan Davis before the quad. He blew out his quad, by the way. He's not going to play that. He's not going to practice this spring. I don't expect him to. And then it was Xavier Sorey. Okay, so that's kind of the rotation last year. You throw Jalen Walker into the mix here, and now you got a bunch of dudes, right? You got a bunch of bodies and some guys that are going to perform. Tresman Marshall, I was extremely, extremely surprised on tape. I shouldn't have been, because he is a highly recruited guy. He's been in the system for a long time. He's been getting development from Schumann. But I was really, really pleasantly surprised with what I saw from him on tape. He's a guy, like, he's one of these dudes that's going to pop like Tyndall next year, okay? Like Tyndall. I called him Channing Tyndall. I called him Tyndall. He's going to pop like that next year. You're going to be like, damn, Tresman Marshall's a good football player. And you're going to be like, yeah, that's right. Brooks told me in March he saw some stuff on tape from the dude. Yeah, he's really, really good. The rest of the young guys got to figure it out. I thought JDJ came on strong, really, really strong late, okay? I know the interception against UAB, that's all good. The pick 6, that's all great. Based off rotation, they thought he was, a little bit behind in terms of getting on the field than a guy like Smile Mondon, okay? Maybe it was situational based. Maybe it was personnel based. I don't know. I think extremely fondly of him. I think this is his year. I really do. I think this spring you're going to start hearing more and more about how, oh, crap, they got another one. Right? They got another Nakobe. They just had Nakobe Dean left, and that's who he is. He's not Roquan Smith. He very much so is Nakobe Dean. When Jamon Dumas-Johnson comes out and leaves from the NFL, you will hear the same type of criticisms about lack of length, premier athleticism, and size about him that you heard about Nakobe. But you will hear people talk about his natural instincts. The difference is now they got guys like this dude. Okay? Now they got guys like Jalen Walker, Xavier Sorey, and Smile Mondon flooding this room that are reincarnations of Quay Walker. All of them. They're all 6'3 plus. They're all 225 plus. They're all extremely, extremely good athletes. So that's what they're flooding the room with now. But I think they still need one instinctual freak at that middle mic spot. And I think that's going to be Jamon Dumas-Johnson. So Precision Lawn Service asks, who got an $8 million NIL deal? I did not reveal the actual name of the player because the story didn't. There's rumors, speculation, stuff that we don't involve ourselves with. But if you missed any part of or portion of tonight's show, which I know a lot of people are here to learn about this and hear about this because it is in the title. If you missed any portion of tonight's show, like this right here, we are available via a podcast platform. Just search the Film Guy Network. This will be right up after. If you're catching us live, it'll be right up over there. You can also always watch over here on the YouTube channel via a rewatch. But yeah, that's already been hit on. And we talked about it at length. So appreciate the question, though. Precision Lawn Service. All right. We talked about inside linebacker. Let's talk about that defensive tackle position. I was talking to a couple people over the last week or so, kind of getting ready, doing film studies, doing positional breakdown previews over on dogsdaily.com. I was talking to a couple guys about this position in particular, because obviously you lose Devontae Wyatt, you lose Jordan Davis. We all know how talented Jalen Carter is. Again, if you've even sniffed a portion of my work, you know what we think about that guy and what the industry thinks about that guy for that matter. He's going to be drafted extremely high next year. That being said, there's only one of him, right? There was 3 of those guys last year. The guy I think that we're going to look up and we're going to be like, damn, that guy's a good football player, is Zion Log. I saw Zion Log do stuff on tape last year that, I mean, flashed in spurts, never really got on the field, but man, when he did, man, like just a big, fluid athlete. And I think when we're talking about extended run like he's going to get this year, that's going to be a dude, man. Like, you're going to look up and people are going to start talking about this guy like he's, a top 60 pick or a top 50 pick with what he's going to do on tape in 1 year as a starter. Guys, by the way, Raekwon Davis, those types of guys at Alabama that start for a year, go to the league, top 45 picks and ended up being rookie of the year type guys, are all rookie team type guys. You don't have, nowadays at Georgia, you don't have to start for 3 years. You can get 1 year of run. You can get 1 year of great tape and you're out. Gone. Thank you. Top 60 picks, especially at a position like defensive tackle. I think Zion Log is going to be one of those guys next year. You know, Warren Brinson's a very, very intriguing study to me. And he's vital. I can't tell you enough. He's so vital this year for Georgia because I'm not saying Jalen Carter's had conditioning issues, but there are, he's a flash player, and there are plays where he's running dudes down for 40 yards and trying really, really hard, right? He needs to come off right there. He needs to come off. And when he comes off, that means one of two things. Warren Brinson has to go in or Bill Norton has to go in. Okay, at this point. Or freshman Kristen Miller has to go in. Or you rotate in a guy like Michael Williams, right? But really playing 3 tech, that's not what you want him doing. You really want him playing 4-5, 7-9, right? There's not a lot of options right now. There's really not a lot of options that are like bona fide answers. They're going to have to figure out some answers this spring. Okay. Timon Mitchell, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins. Okay. Guys like Marlon Dean that are playing outside backer. These are dudes that are going to have to step up. Okay. These are dudes that are going to have a great spring and vault themselves into a position where they can get PT this fall. Okay. And not just get on the field, but they need you, bro. They need you to take reps. Warren Brinson, they need you to be Tyler Clark. Okay. They need it now, right now. Okay. And if you're not, there's going to be an issue come this fall because midway through the season, they're going to be throwing freshmen out there in SEC football games coming down the stretch. That's the position this spring you need to be paying attention to, okay, up front. I'm not as concerned about these outside backers. I think Nolan Smith and Robert Beal going to hold your butt down this year. I loved what Robert put on tape. I can't wait to see the development because I know Nolan Smith will work. I watched him from sophomore year to junior year go from okay to hey, that dude does not lose a rep in the run. Not a rep. Watch him on tape. Watch the effort that he's 227, 230, maybe. Watch the effort that 6'2 and a quarter, 230-pound grown man gives out there in the positions that Georgia puts him in, okay, in terms of their scheme. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about Robert Beal. I think Robert Beal is going to take another step because he's finally figuring out what in the hell to do because he's 10,000-hour theory. You do stuff over and over again, you get better at it. He's going to get better at it. I'm not worried about outside backer. Defensive back, corners locked up, at least one of them is Keely Ringo. It's about just like last year. Hey, last year it was, hey, which one of you young bloods going to go hang out with Darian Kendrick and go be dudes? It turned out to be Keely Ringo. So now it's, hey, which one of you young bloods, Kamari Lassiter, Nyland Green, Jaheim Singletary, which one of you young bloods going to come out here and play corner and strap up with the guy that's about to be a first-round draft pick in a couple of years? Actually, after this year, he could go this year if he wants to. After this season. So that's another thing. Pay attention to some of these guys that might be able to leave already because Keely Ringo done come and gone on you before you even knew it. Okay, before you even knew it. He delivered a title thanks to a pick six late and has one of the greatest memories in all of Georgia football lore and history. But just know you might only have 12, 14, 15 games left of him. So pay attention. My prediction is Kamari Lassiter. Okay. But I also know that Nyland Green is one of the more traits-ier prospects I've ever evaluated. I just happen to think he's a safety. They got him playing corner. We're going to figure it out because there's some dogs coming in there now. All right, there's some young bloods coming in here. There's some really, really strapping corners. Star is an interesting discussion for me come August when Tyke Smith is available because right now he's still rehabbing from a knee injury, okay? Not breaking news, but yeah, a little bit of intel here on you right now. He's not going to be available this spring. So you're going to have William Poole, and you're going to have Javon Ballard, and you're going to have probably David Daniel cross-training, and you're going to have, I think they signed a young star type of football player. Ja'Cory Thomas, right? You're going to have these guys rotating in at star. The big question to me is safety, okay? Because Malachi Starks is going to be a really good football player. Don't know if he's quite ready yet. Coming from Jefferson to play SEC safety, don't know quite yet. But if anyone's got traits enough to do it, it's probably him. Is it just going to be Chris Smith and Dan Jackson, or is somebody going to take Wild Dan's spot, Dirty Dan? Okay, or as we call him, Dan Juice Jackson. Okay, anybody going to take Juice Jackson's spot, or is 47 just going to roam the back end for the next 2 years at Georgia? I don't know. I like to see it happen. Boy thumps. Okay, and he flashes all over tape. So. We don't know, but I'm going to tell you what, David Daniel, he'll get on the field soon. He gonna want to get on the field. That's the other reality about this situation. Understand that guys that lose out. I told you from the start when one-time transfer portal came out that the Kentuckys of the world, the even the South Carolinas of the world, the Florida States of the world, the Arizona States of the world, the Washington States of the world, they are going to raid your second, third, fourth team units. Absolutely raid them. Every single 4 and 5 star that doesn't get on the field after 2 years, Auburn's calling, baby. I'm telling you that right now. Michigan State is calling Amir Speed. I'm telling you that right now. Okay. Arkansas, Sam Pittman is calling Latavius Burnett. Your backups will be rated for the rest of time. So just understand that, again, as we told you from the jump today, portal entries, portal exits, portal additions, portal subtractions, they're going to happen like wildfire this spring. And it's going to be because the writing's on the wall. People lost jobs, which means they got to go find new opportunities to find PT. It's no different than you at home watching this program right now. If your employer called today and said, I don't know, man, I think we're going to promote this other guy or gal over here. And matter of fact, while we're at it, we're going to cut your pay grade by about 10%. Cool. You're on your phone right now calling every employer you possibly can to search for new job opportunities and job employments. Young men are taking it and approaching it the same exact way right now. Okay. Especially, again, once all options are exhausted. That's when we can begin portal discussions, right? Exhaust them options, dog. Don't just lose out on your first opportunity to play and then leave. Bro, run that sucker dry, okay? Make sure you give it all you got before you throw them into the portal or before you throw yourself into the portal. I appreciate you guys for being here tonight. As the numbers tick back up, man, I'm telling you, y'all going to see it. Once spring practice starts, man, it's going to be September 4th before you know it right now. So head on over to patreon.com/Brooks Austin. Sign up today. Don't miss any spring practice notes. And we appreciate you guys for being here. For Brooks Austin, for the Film Guy fam, we will see you next time.